What's up guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about Zack Snyder's Batman vs Superman and how it's satanic to the core, and even how his next movie, Justice League, has the same satanic roots. So as I was watching the movie, actually I never watched it in theaters. I actually regret it because I love Batman. I was a huge Batman fan when I was a kid, and I did actually spoil it and just watch fight scenes online. At first, when I first saw the movie, I wasn't into Ben Affleck, but actually after seeing it and it's kind of grown on me, I really like Ben Affleck as Batman, and I like his fight scene. I think when he was in the warehouse, that was like one of my favorite Batman fight scenes ever. But as I'm watching the movie, I downloaded it and I found so many satanic things in it. The movie essentially tries to convince the audience that there is no real God, that there is other life out there and other advanced alien beings, that man will eventually meet higher advanced beings and that they are the gods. We see some parts in the movie where they have blasphemy, right? They have completely using Jesus Christ's name in vain.
Not a goddamn thing.
Jesus Christ.
They have a scene here where they have this guy who worked for Bruce Wayne. He's like pretty much talking to God because he knows he's gonna die, and like saying, "God, forgive me for my sins," and then he dies, right? It's kind of like, oh wow, God didn't save him there, right? And they literally are trying to say like there is no God. And I'm gonna show you in these clips like a compilation of all the parts I found where they're trying to kind of convince the audience. In the beginning, they show this one scene where like the cops are kind of watching a game, and you kind of see the black and white symbolism. Now, the occult, the not so secret societies that run the world, caused from the billionaire and 1 trillionaire family who set up our whole system and have these secret societies that initiate new members and recruit puppets, right, to work for them. They will use signs and symbols, and there's quite a few of this in the movie. But we see here the black and white checkerboard symbolizing their false dualism philosophy. Now, this world isn't dualistic by nature, but they believe that it is, and they believe there's a God of above and a God of below, and they're gods, but they're lesser gods, and that there's a source. And I remember watching Justice League Unlimited as a child, and the main satanic root in that series was that Lex Luthor, he wanted to obtain the anti-life equation so that he could, and in the end, he actually fused with Darkseid to become a god.
If you possess all information, you're a god.
My program will be complete. It is the end of all things.
What if it were just the beginning?
And essentially, he went to the edge of the universe. It promotes this fake space. There's no other space in other worlds. It promotes alternate universes, alternate dimensions. As these police officers are heading to save these trafficked women, and it's kind of funny. There's one instance here where they're finding these women who are kind of being trafficked and held in like an underground prison. And the one girl speaking in, I think, in some Asian language, she says that a devil saved her.
It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna help. We're here to help.
In our mainstream society, they're always trying to make God look and Christians look bad, and they're trying to make Satan or the devil look like a misunderstood hero who's trying to free mankind and offer us freedom of choice, right? Like, example, they have the Loki series where they make Loki, he's like a god, right? He's one of the gods from the Thor movie, right? And Thor is supposed to be a god, right? Who's existing in the same universe, right? I mean, is it the same universe? I think it's Marvel and it's the other, what the hell's the other one? Marvel and I can't remember. I'm not into the superhero things so deeply, but regardless, all the superhero bullshit is all about, it's a humanistic take on reality, trying to make humans put themselves in an all-powerful character and that we can advance and eventually become godlike. Loki, he's like, I've seen commercials about there's like a new TV series, and he has like the horns on his head. Like, he's pretty much the devil, and he's like played out as like a hero, right? But in this prison scene, they say, oh, like a devil saved us. And oh yeah, I thought it was interesting here too. They talk about in Batman vs Superman, Batman, he's trying to find something, right? Some person, right? He thinks it's a person, but it's not, it's a boat. But they show this Russian who's like connected to the criminal underworld, and he's like a human trafficker. And it's kind of funny how these movies are shedding light on the human trafficking issue, that now humanity's starting to realize that these elites are trafficking people, and these elites are responsible for all our missing children in the world. But so far, the movies that talk about it, they don't touch on that, our government is actually doing that. But I kind of found it's funny that This guy had tattoos of kind of like Christian tattoos. He's showing like a Catholic Mary on his hand, you know, showing like a hypocrite Christian person. And then also I see here, I mean, I'm going to show you guys in a few moments like all the parts where they talk about Superman being God, you know, and he's so powerful, he's like a god, right? But if he's God, can he create life? And I don't mean like in Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy, where in the third movie where there was that godlike figure who could use DNA and science and technology and put chemicals in a test tube and create life like that. I mean, wave your finger around and create life. No, just speak something, say something and create life. You know, the word universe comes from the old Greek word meaning uni, one, and verse, sentence, meaning the whole universe was made in one sentence, just like the Bible says.
And in the village had a noise, like the sky cracked open. He came down, then came fire. He answers to no one, not even, I think, to God.
Men fall from the sky. The gods hurl thunderbolts. Innocents die.
The metahuman thesis.
Yes, the metahuman thesis. More likely than not, these exceptional beings live among us. The basis of our myths, gods among men upon our little blue planet here.
So we're going to continue here. Oh yeah, this part I found was kind of interesting. Kind of shows like false God, like trying to get a subliminal message in the mind that God is false. You know what I mean? I know that scene is completely symbolic, and there's a lot of symbology in this movie where Superman is kind of seen as like the godlike figure, and Batman is seen like the man. And even Lex, he says, I'll show you later, but he says like Superman versus God is like the ultimate gladiator fight, God versus man.
Of making terrorist threats, that carries up to 40 years in prison.
Poor son of a bitch.
Metropolis News 8.
Jenny, headline. End of love affair with man in the sky, question mark.
Right? I just want to show in this one part here, Lois Lane, she's a journalist, and she starts talking about how they even use this movie to plant like real truths to deflect. And whenever people bring up this conspiracy quote unquote type of stuff, I don't like to call anything conspiracy. I like to call it truth, because it's just an easy way to lump people who believe in truth into a group of people who believe in, like, say, Bigfoot, aliens that don't exist in real life, the Loch Ness monster, stuff like that is just doesn't exist, right? She talks about how the government is actually funding rebels to buy weapons so that they can go against the government, but then they're pretending to support the actual government in that country. We've already known for years that, you know, CIA, they're used to destabilize other governments by infiltrating them or buying out other political figures.
Government is arming the rebels while claiming to support the elected government.
The ask, Lois.
Right? We have this scene here with Lex Luthor. He's talking about how in the movie he really doesn't believe in God. He believes that there's advanced beings out there, and he himself wants to become like that. It's so interesting in this movie. It's kind of entertaining. They have the senator, and she's like, they try to make it out like, oh, this senator, she's like this politician. She's not a freaking corrupt person. She's actually agreeing to not go with Lex Luthor's plan. She actually has moral standards. That's so bullshit, okay? All those politicians are bought and sold out. All the world governments are working together. They're all satanic sellouts.
I'm blocking the import license for your mineral. Take a weapon of assassination and call it deterrence. You won't fool a fly or me.
That should be upside down. Now, we know better now, don't we? The devils don't come from hell beneath us, no. No, they come from the sky.
And here in this scene we have, you know, Lex is going to do a speech, and he invited Bruce Wayne to come, and he actually invited Clark Kent to come here as his journalist disguise, which is so funny because I don't understand how anyone could not see through. Like, if you just saw Superman close up on TV and you saw Clark Kent, you would say, yo, Superman, what are you doing with glasses, yo? But anyway, we see the speaker who invites Lex Luthor to this speech. He talks about, well, she's wearing the black and white symbolism, of course. And then he starts talking about the old gods. All the superheroes, Justice League, they represent a god. Like, Batman is Hades. Wonder Woman is, who is she? She's one of those gods. The Flash, he's Hermes. You know, I mean, I don't remember the names of each one, but each superhero, Green Lantern, each of them, they represent a god from the Greek or Roman mythology. And the Greek and Roman gods is very interesting. I was looking into it. I'll kind of show another video here that I made separately, but these beings, they existed. And in the biblical story, when God made the earth 6,000 years ago, there was a flood 4,400 years ago, and he flooded the earth because these fallen angels, they came. They were, first of all, they were called watchers. They were actually just watching humanity, but they started lusting over the women, and they came down. A group of them made a pact, and they came down with the leader named Semyaza. What's up, guys? So I found this was very interesting. If you go online and you search, was Jupiter or Neptune or Saturn a real person, they're gonna say that they're just the planets, right? That they're Greek gods or Roman gods that were just stories made up. But I'm looking at this old year 1500 knowledge. It's like there's 4 parts of it, 4 parts to it. It's a universal view of history. And when the first man was created in the Garden of Eden, the true history is that the earth is 6,000 years old, and there was a worldwide flood that happened about 4,400 years ago. And this timeline, I know it goes back. If we look on the internet, it says it goes 2,300 BC, and then it goes all the way, the timeline, the dates start getting smaller, and then they go to year 0 when Christ was born, right? And then it goes, I think it says 2,000 years before the law. Here it is. Yeah. 2,000 years before the law, 2,000 years under the law, and then 2,000 years under the Messiah, which is where we are now. And even it talks about here the 7 ages, which I actually was thinking, like, we're getting close to the end, and I'm thinking that we're in the 6,000th year right now, or maybe it's like the year 5,000 something, and we're getting close to the year 6,000. There's one woman she's a Christian in Siberia. She's living alone her name's Agatha. She lives alone in the Siberian forest, independent. She has animals, she grows her own food, and she's quite famous because the Russians, they really like tough people. But actually, Russia's a very Christian country. But it says here that Saint August reckons the 7 ages according to the 7 days of the week, and to God each day is 1,000 years. So the first is the deluge, the 1,000 years of the flood. To Abraham is the next 1,000 years. To David, to captivity, when the Jewish people were in Egypt, and then 5,000 Christ's birth, and then the 6,000 the end of the world, and then the 7,000th year was our eternal rest. Okay, so if you Google, you're gonna see that. Anyway, back to this. It starts out in talking about. It goes right to year 1, and it goes all the way and gives a very detailed timeline. And this looks like this was took a long time to put together, and this guy did a lot of research. A lot of work went into this, but I want to show you guys some very interesting things I've been finding here. That, Justice League, like all those superheroes, they all represent old pagan Greek gods. And I want to say that those people actually existed. I thought that, Saturn, Jupiter, and all those could have been the fallen angels. But I've been actually seeing here, like, that they could have been children of the Nephilim. Or they could have been the Nephilim, the Titans. So when the fallen angels, it says over here, let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, here. The sons of God marrying with the daughters of men. The sons of God are the angels. And then it seems in the year 1050, right after Adam dies in 987, and Enoch walked with God for 365 years, and he is raptured, or he'd never died, he was taken by God. And then Noah's born, and that's when the sons of God have started taking wives. And I know that if they are kind of jealous of man and they want to become God, then they would want to be worshipped by men. And actually, I heard they taught man forbidden knowledge, such as root cuttings, which is drug use, the beautifying of women with crushing of stones, so use of makeup, creation of jewelry, ornate gold and such, the teaching men of how to make weapons, and what else they teach? Forbidden knowledge. Let's just say that. Now, Adam and Eve were pre-programmed by God. They could already speak when they were created, so they had advanced knowledge on architecture, natural medicine, etc., etc. They probably knew the properties of stone and plants and everything. They could teach man everything, how to make clothing, everything, how to use animals and plant and nature to create and craft, right? But anyway, so I was thinking that they came down, right? And they actually started getting wives, having children, and wanting to be worshipped. But I kind of see here that it says here. Now I can't really read this name. It could be Octavius or Octavus or Colas, which is the name of the Cyclops here for Coelas and Briareus. But Briareus, he had 100 hands, and Cyclops had one eye. So this person actually existed. They were the Titans. Look, they were called the Titans. And look, they had children. Oceanus, Coeus, Hyperion. Where have we heard these names before? In games and such, in movies. Iapetus and Saturn. And they actually talk about how Saturn had children. Pluto, Jupiter, Juno, like Juno, Ayuno, and Neptune. And look, these guys had these people. Pallas, Diana, Apollo, Mercury. So these guys were super intelligent and more powerful than normal human beings. So, you know, Diana, she represents Wonder Woman. It's so interesting. So these people actually existed. And then I want to come up here. But they could be killed because it even says here Osiris. Look, Osiris roots them out and is chosen king. And then he has Neptune, right? And then it says over here, Osiris, who gives the kingdom to some kind of other faction or something, but they kill him. Hercules kills them and sets up pillars. Wow, interesting. And then over here, you see that these people are advanced because they actually came and taught people. Look, Sparta himself built Spartacus built the city of Sparta. And I'm thinking Jupiter, because if you look online and you Google, you can see that if you search, was Jupiter a real person? It's not going to say that. But it's going to say he was the king of Rome. And on the other page, I showed my other video. I suggest you watch that video about get out of the Catholic Church. It's one of my more recent videos. I explained how the Catholic Church is satanic and how they just try to the Roman emperor at the time, what was his name? Constantine. He hijacked Christianity and created this false church, right? But you can see, look, Osiris comes and teaches them tillage. Tillage is the use of coins and use of money. Stuff that people didn't know at the time. And I think Jupiter, he's in the other page, you can see that they said they have no records of Rome's who built Rome. Because 500 years after it was built, the records were burned by Gauls. But I think Jupiter, who was probably a Nephilim, or the son of a Nephilim, he's the one who built Rome from scratch with just amazing. Just amazing. And we can see over here, where is that about? It's very fascinating. They're trying to hide it because they why do we have these old Roman buildings in all our governments? Government, like, we have these in the why are all the government buildings copying these Roman style structures? You know what I'm saying? Because they're paying homage to them. Because these Satanists, they want us to worship the enemy. And that's why they made all our superheroes as symbols of these old gods. And let me see something. I think I even saw Prometheus around somewhere. Let me see. Where's... Oh, the Olympic Games began. Interesting. And we still have the Olympic Games. We still have gladiator fights. Rome never died. But where is that part? I want to see about... It even talks about who built the pyramids. Oh, look. In Egypt, and Osiris was a pharaoh. Pharaoh in Genesis 12 is thought to have been Osiris, and his wife is Isis. Where's that part? Oh yeah, here. So Boreas from him, the I can't read that, or the Boreans, he sends two armies into Asia, one of men and another of women, called Amazons, who build Diana's temple at Ephesus. Very interesting. She was a real person, and she probably was really powerful physically, because she had different blood. She wasn't like a normal human. She had blood from the fallen angels. And where's the part of Prometheus? Because we see Prometheus and Atlas, his brother, astronomers. Arctius of Attica marries his daughter. Kekrops, I don't know what that says, comes out of Egypt, brings in their gods, and was first that called God by the name of Zeus or Jupiter. Interesting. Very fascinating. Saturn expelled Crete by Jupiter. Jupiter? I don't know. Is that Jupiter or Jupiter? His son flees hither, civilizes the people, teaches them tillage and coins and money. Interesting, right? These people were real. But the history, these elites have hidden history, and they're trying to make us think that the Earth is billions of years old, millions of years old, when really we can see that the true history has been hidden. Look, many heathens held that there was one supreme god and called him Jupiter op Max, but worshipped many other gods, and they deified men. So this is why where the deification of men, after these guys probably died, other normal humans who became like kings and pharaohs and such, they wanted to become gods, right? Look, deified men with him, though with a lower forth of worship, which was yet a great part of idolatry, saying the Jews' God was an unsociable God, because God was silent at this time. He wasn't communicating like he was before. Oh look, the Egyptians say that Osiris and Isis, his wife and sister, sprang from Saturn and Rhea, that they invented the planting of vines and sowing of corn. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay guys, that's all I want to show you right now. And he led them down. This is after the fall of man, and after Satan got his ass kicked down to earth, he fell like lightning. That's why there's so much symbolism with lightning in all these corporations and such. And a lot of corporations, they use Saturn symbolism, because I heard Saturn represents Satan, and the black cube there's a lot of corporations that use like a black cube, which is Saturn, or even vehicle cars they use, and other corporations, they use the Saturn logo. because that represents Satan. Why is everything always mentioning these names like Prometheus and like the movie, the alien movie Prometheus? And that movie was completely satanic on its own. It was talking about who made man, right? I should actually do a video about that, but it's all the same stuff. Everything is just, it was so subtle when we were kids, but everything's kind of funneling into one philosophy, one belief system. All these different medias and movies and video games, and I expose them all the time on my channel. Yeah, Lex Luthor, he's making a speech here. He mentions all these old gods.
And men. Prometheus went with us, and he ruined Zeus's plan to destroy mankind, and for that he was given a thunderbolt. True! Hey, that seems unfair. The word philanthropist comes from the Greek, meaning a lover of humanity. It was coined about 2,500 years ago.
And he mentions about philanthropy. All these billionaires that are, even Bruce Wayne, like, it's just such a psyop that they would have Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, these billionaires who are actually good and they actually are using their money to help humanity. It's such a joke because all billionaires, they're all trying to deceive mankind and they're all part of a club that you're not part of, and they're trying to deceive us. And I was actually watching this one video where this guy is talking about stocks and crypto, and he says himself that all these billionaires, they're always on the news telling us like, sell your stock, sell your coin, everything's going to shit. And then when we sell, they buy everything. So they're always tricking humanity. They're always trying to fuck over humanity. Pardon my language. So he's talking about philanthropy, and what a joke. And even Batman is a joke because he's just going after these low level rapists or like robbers, thieves, murderers. But why don't you go after the big fish, buddy? Why don't you go after the elite secret societies and the billionaires that control the world? But no, these movies are never going to talk about that stuff. They're never going to talk about the FBI trafficking all the children and stealing all our children annually. All those missing children, over 500,000. I think it's like 800,000 in America alone disappeared just because of those guys. You think it's just randoms or they just run away? Nope. What else here? Oh yeah, I noticed this part too. So Superman, as he's leaving his conversation with he was talking to Bruce Wayne, you know, I kind of like how they set up like both of them have a reason to not like each other. I kind of understand that. Superman, he sees this television clip and it's showing in Mexico there's a fire and it happened on the El Dia del El Muerto. It's like a very special religious day in Mexico, and I don't know, it's very like, honestly, it looks satanic to me because they worship the dead. They kind of like pray to the dead, and they have like, they dress up like skulls and stuff, which is not Christian. And Mexico, Italy, Philippines, they're so Catholic. And I really urge that if you're a Catholic, just watch my other video and I expose how satanic the Vatican is and how they're gonna mislead everyone, right? But it's so interesting how he flies quickly over to Mexico, and he saves this child who's gonna burn in the fire, and then all these people start like touching him and bowing down to him, pretty much like worshiping him like he's a god. It's like telling the future. I know in the future either they're gonna open portals or they're gonna find a way to bring back the fallen angels or the Nephilim. Some people call them the jinn. Yeah, they have to watch that video, those Catholics. But anyway, then this part starts playing and it really freaking pisses me off when I start hearing about these people like they're trying to plant seeds about, you know.
We as a population on this planet have been looking for a savior. 90% of people believe in a higher power, and every religion believes in some sort of messianic figure. And when this savior character actually comes to Earth, we want to make him abide by our rules. We have to understand that this is a paradigm shift. We have to start thinking beyond politics.
It just reminds me, if a figure like Superman came to real life, it would be like predicting in the end times in the Bible. It says that there's going to be a lot of false prophets. They're going to start doing miracles and have powers like almost like Jesus, right? But we have to be aware that they're going to try to mislead humanity, right? And they could be fallen beings. They could be, I don't know, government trying to play tricks on us. But I know the government, people have been talking for years that the world governments are going to try to trick humanity with a fake alien invasion. It's called Project Bluebeam. And then this is going to trick humanity to think, oh, look, it's just like in the movies. There are advanced races of beings out there. They're more powerful than us. We have to unite in a one world government to survive, right? And then they might have some fake alien leaders who are going to teach humanity and lead us to a new age, right? A new one world satanic government. And this guy's like, oh, you know, yeah, it's like, it's just disturbing how they're really trying hard. This movie is super occultic, and even Superman's outfit, I'll show a picture here. People were like saying like they remade his outfit to look like a snake. His suit looks like scaly like, and his S looks kind of snake like compared to the original suits, right? He looks a little bit more cool, but I mean, I can tell it looks like they went out of their way to make it look like a snake. And then this part, and they start talking about, oh, he's the most powerful man in the world, right? Yeah.
Is it really surprising that the most powerful man in the world should be a figure of controversy.
Yeah, they show us this fake space nonsense, and then this clown, he starts talking about how people have always been misled by powerful figures to do bad things. Let me guess, you're talking about Christians in the past, right? Well, it's not only Christians who've done that, it's all the elites actually in history that have duped humanity time and time again and always manipulated and rewritten history.
Human beings have a horrible track record of following people of great power down paths that led to huge human atrocities.
We have always created icons in our own image. What we've done is we project ourselves onto him. The fact is, maybe he's not some sort of devil or Jesus character. Maybe he's just a guy trying to do the right thing.
And then this guy, oh my god, this clown, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he always reads scripts. He's not a scientist, he's not some professor, he's just an idiot, stupid puppet, and he's just an actor. He has an IMDb account, and he always says the same things, and here he's pushing the space lie and he's pushing the evolution lie, where there's no evidence for anything ever changing from one kind to another kind. And if I ever got him alone in a room,
little Ricky, get your little punk ass up out of that chair right now.
And he just says like, we're not special in the universe.
Talking about a being whose very existence challenges our own sense of priority in the universe. And you go back to Copernicus, where he restored the sun in the center of the known universe, displacing Earth. And you get to Darwinian evolution, and you find out we're not special on this Earth, we're just one among other life forms. And now we learn that we're not even special in the entire universe because there is Superman. There he is, an alien among us. We're not alone.
And then he starts talking about how Copernicus displaced the Earth from the center and put the sun and showed that the sun was really at the center. You know, when really some of us know that the Earth is actually at the center of the universe and the sun, moon, and stars circle overhead because we live in a flat plane realm. But that's a discussion from another day. You can watch other videos I made talk about that. I'm not going to cover that right now. And then they show like, oh, this lady, she's reaching up because her savior, Superman, the godlike figure, is going to save her. It's just, just so cringy. They straight up show they show Bruce Wayne having a dream, and then they show the Flash is trying to reach him from the future. You know, they always have these alternate timelines, alternate dimensions, alternate universes. All these string theory nonsense scientific bullshit that doesn't exist. Like, there is no space and there is no other worlds, dimensions. There might be a demonic realm and there might be a heavenly realm, but they said that, what is it, like 90% of all information is like light and we can't see any of it? That's like the spiritual realm. A veil has been cast over humanity. We cannot see the spiritual realm. And I heard if we could see all the demons surrounding us, we would die. We would die of fear because it's a spiritual war, it's a spiritual battle, and there's so many satanic influences trying to get us to do sin, trying to get us to do bad things, and trying to influence us to be satanic. And then LexCorp, his symbol is an X. If you guys don't know, the symbol X represents Satan. So they show that X there. The Daily Planet, they have the Daily Planet, the ball. We don't live on a ball Earth. We live on a plane realm, an electromagnetic plane realm. So I thought that's kind of interesting. They want to show that. Oh, and they show this part where all these looks like Christians are kind of protesting, and I'm going to show you slowly here. I'm going to kind of pause it here. Look, God hates aliens. They want to make Christians look like jackasses, so intolerable, when real Christians are actually the ones who are just trying to influence people very subtly. But we're not trying to it's not like the old days where maybe they were really, really hardcore, and yeah, there were some bad leaders, leading the Crusades, and I know that was really bad, but you can't hold Christianity or Christians all in the wrong for that. Okay, that was evil people, the evil of man. That wasn't God, or that wasn't Jesus Christ, or that wasn't Christianity. And then you see this sign. He says you can't be Christian and pro-alien. Oh my gosh, just so cringe. And then, so he's going into this government building that looks like a freaking Roman architecture. And then, and then we see Lois Lane after Superman visits her and says he's got to do something. He's got to go talk to the government. You see, they pose the camera always in very specific ways so that you can see the obelisk there of representing the phallic worship that they did in Egyptian times. They always got to show that stuff. And the government, they built a water pool in front of it so that you can see the reflection of it. And you can see, the one pointing up in the sky. You can see the one pointing down. That's symbolic of as above, so below dualism. That's what our government follows, and they're satanic. All the world governments are satanic. And then we have Lex's speech here where he actually thinks, I can use my logic and I'm such a genius and I disprove God with this amazing logic, when he's an idiot.
Boy, do we have problems up here. The problem of evil in the world. The problem of absolute virtue.
I'll take you in without breaking you, which is more than you deserve.
The problem of you on top of everything else. You above all. Because that's what God is. Horus, Apollo, Jehovah, Kal-El. See, what we call God depends upon our tribe, Clark Joe. Because God is tribal. God takes sides. No man in the sky intervened when I was a boy to deliver me from Daddy's fist and abominations. I figured out way back. If God is all-powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all-powerful. And neither can you be. They need to see the fraud you are.
Oh yeah, the old bad things happen to me, that's why there's no God. Or bad things are happening in the world, that proves there's no God. No, that's not evidence of no God, dude. That's evidence of Satan existing. Trust me. Also, he starts saying, like he tries to use logic, but God's perfect and he's infinite. So just because you can't wrap your little brain around that doesn't mean he doesn't exist. He starts saying like Superman's God and I can control you.
And now God bends to my will.
And then he starts doing the 666. He does the 666 hand sign. He's told to do this stuff. And he even does the hand as above, so below. It's a Freemasonic hand sign, but he points up, his hands one up, one down. Oh yeah, and then right when Batman's gonna kill him. And then it's interesting, he says, man versus God.
The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. God versus man.
The ultimate gladiator fight. He mentions gladiator because, you know, we're still ruled by the Roman Catholic Church, who are in the shadows, and they've always been in the shadows, but slowly coming out, and they're gonna be this whole satanic world order, this evil satanic system is slowly manifesting itself, and it's gonna come out, and everyone's gonna see it, and they're all gonna bow down and worship it. But not the Christians, not the people who know the one true God, who have been reading the Torah, reading the Bible, and see the past, present, and future right in front of written right there in the Word of God, and we know the future, we know what's gonna happen. We've been warned already. And it's this whole fight is symbolic because if Superman's God and Batman is man, well, Batman kicks the shit out of Superman, so man wins, right? And then he says here, you're not a god, you never even were a man, right?
You were never a god. You were never even a man.
And then let's keep going. Oh yeah, I noticed that the battle, that the final part of the battle, they're in like a Freemason building. Look, they have the Freemasonic rooftops, and they have the pillars, the satanic dualistic. They have the two pillars representing duality, and then they have the archway. The arch is representing where we're living, in a dome with a ceiling, a dome firmament. That's why all these buildings all over the world, they're in your face, showing a huge dome because it's symbolizing where we live. We have a ceiling overhead. I thought that fight scene was so cool with the warehouse, but we're just gonna. And then the next movie, when they show Superman, he's dead. He was killed in the last movie, right? They show him, he's like the savior figure, right? Like the one who's gonna save mankind, like almost like mocking Jesus Christ. And then he gets resurrected. Isn't that so interesting? And you know what? Who comes and resurrects him? The Flash. And the Flash has the lightning symbolism, and he actually touches the water with a little bit of electricity, like a lightning, and brings back Superman from the dead. Completely blasphemy. The only one who defeated death was Jesus Christ, God in human form. We cannot understand infinite, so God came here as a human to teach man and died for our sins, so we didn't have to keep sacrificing animals all the time like in the old days, because blood is spiritual currency. That's why the demonic and satanic realm, they lust for it, and that's why in the old days God required of it. And then we have the one-eyed symbolism with the cyborg. He has the one eye covered, representing the all-seeing eye that's on the dollar bill, the American dollar bill. And then also he represents transhumanism, man merging with machine, which is what this evil one world order is going to want us to do. They're going to want us to fill our bodies with graphene. They're going to want us to merge combine, like put chips on our head and combine, have internet in our brain and have like augmentations. And then it's going to be a huge trick because there's going to be one corporation that's going to, you know, our body is going to reject metal, like trying to fuse with machines. It's going to try to reject all the stuff we're going to put in the future. People who are going to do this, who are going to think, oh, it's so cool to like be able to think faster and have internet in my brain and have like electronics running through my body, and I can be able to run faster, I'll be able to live longer, I can change parts and stuff. This is what the mindset they're trying to create. And then look at all the people who transgender themselves. More than half of them are regretting it. And all these celebrities, if you look into it, they transgender their own kids from youth, from little kids. When they're little kids, they freaking get them to wear opposite clothing. Like look at Will Smith, he transgendered his own son. It's just so much bullshit satanic in this movie. And look at even Batman, he has horns, man. His demonic horns. And then look, all these, look, Aquaman, they all represent these old, he represents Neptune. I forget who Diana represents, but she represents another pagan god. I actually noticed her shoulder armor looked like a Freemason symbol. Anyway, back to the transhumanism. There's gonna be one corporation that, like, our body's gonna want to reject the metal. So we're gonna have to take some kind of compound, pharmaceutical chemical that will keep us alive and keep everything working. Like keeping our body together with to not reject that metal and stuff. And that corporation is gonna be multi-trillionaire probably, because everyone's gonna have to rely on it and they're gonna have to keep buying that stuff. And I got this from Deus Ex, the video game Deus Ex. It's a video game about man merging with machine and getting augmentations, and the X, Deus Ex, the symbol of Satan. And then even in the game, I was looking at it and there was like, in the game they were talking, I read a newspaper in the game and they were talking about how they were like protests. They're called skin protests, and these monks were protesting because they didn't want to get augmentated. Interesting, right? How everything's kind of showing itself. There's one part here where they're talking about the past and how the Amazons and all these different old, I don't know, factions. Oh yeah, the old gods that were led by the old gods. Why do they always reference the Zeus and all this stuff?
A great armada appeared in the sky, laying waste to all who opposed it. The leader of the invaders was a being called Darkseid, a name cursed and feared in every universe. Darkseid was met in battle by Earth's defenders, the old gods, men, Atlanteans before their descent into the sea, Amazons before their betrayal and enslavement, and guardians from the stars. Zeus and his son Ares alongside the guardians from the sky.
Why? And Zeus, he's like Thor, and he has the thunderbolt lightning, right? It's the same satanic lightning symbolism there, and the worship of multiple gods. They want you to think that Jehovah, the Tetragrammaton, whatever you want to call him. Okay, they want to make you think that he's like an evil, controlling god, and the god of below, Mother Goddess, sometimes some people call her the Mother Goddess, the god of below, she's like the god of chaos, the god of freedom. They want you to think that these two are opposites and dualistic in nature, and that these elites are trying to synthesize all dualities because they think they actually believe this. They can dissolve this realm and leave this area called the pleroma and head to the source where there are other gods and they will become godlike. I know, the moment when you realize the Illuminati is more crazy than you are, and then they start talking about this battle where like Wonder Woman's talking about how Darkseid, he summons these like priests. They're like advanced beings who have super advanced technology that people think it's magic. Oh, that kind of sounds like Eric von Daniken's Chariot of the Gods, where these these old like primitive people, they describe all these angels coming from heaven, and they describe these sounds, and then they were mistaken in that they were actually really advanced beings with high level technology, and they just thought they were gods. So that's exactly what I was trying to say here.
He called forth mystics who worshipped and controlled three objects, the mother boxes.
Wait. Mother boxes?
Indestructible living machines. Made from a science so advanced, it looks like sorcery. To conquer, three boxes have to synchronize and join together into the Unity. The Unity cleanses a planet with fire, transforming it into a copy of the enemy's world. All who live become servants of Darkseid, alive but drained of life. Parademons.
And then at the end here, they fight this like demonic devil looking demon character. And it's funny how he has horns, right? Just like Loki, they want to make you think, yeah, the devil that we always depicted, Satan, he has horns and he's not really a devil. He's actually just an advanced being, like an alien. That's always what they want us to believe. Anyway, guys, there's a lot there to digest. Sorry it was so long. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you and your families.